Hi, and welcome back to our series on local filmmakers here in Southern Ontario. My name is Bruce De La Cruz, and I'll be your host today. Today, we're speaking with Amanda Sevigny, the runner-up of the Waterloo Hospice You Only Die Once film contest. Amanda, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for coming onto our show.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your film.
So, my roommate, the Grim Reaper, was meant to be sort of more of a fantastical telling of someone going through the 5 stages of grief after receiving, the main character receives her terminal diagnosis. And it was intended to kind of lighten the conversation around death and give a more positive message towards it. Like, death isn't the end. It's perfectly natural and you can't avoid it. So just live your life as best you can before it comes.
And when writing this film, where did you draw inspiration from?
I draw a lot of my inspiration from like comedy writers and a lot of serious topics that have a lighter spin taken on them. And I try to just focus on delivering a heartfelt story, but giving some levity to it.
Perfect. And so, why don't you tell us a bit more about the contest itself? What is it supposed to mean, or what is it supposed to represent?
The Yodo contest is an opportunity hosted by the Waterloo Hospice to normalize and kind of destigmatize fear of death, conversation of death. And it's really a very beautiful way of approaching it with all of these different filmmakers taking all these different approaches on how they interpret death, dying, bereavement, all these conversations around death. I feel like it's a very powerful way of breaking that stigma of death is something that we shouldn't talk about. It should be something to be feared. And it's all about, living in the moment and appreciating what we have in the time that we are alive.
And how did you find out about the contest?
I believe it was through my school, actually. I'm a Laurier student, and I am part of the film studies program. And a lot of our film studies professors kind of send us emails about local film competition and local film opportunities. And I heard about it through one of my professors. And I was on the path to attending VFS, so I had the idea of just submitting an idea, and it got picked up, and it's been life-changing.
Congratulations again. What led you to wanting to study filmmaking and making it your career?
Since I was a kid, I've always liked telling stories and using storytelling as a medium. And then as I got older, I discovered filmmaking. And around the time I was applying to universities, I had to submit video submissions, and my drama teacher had us give us a final free rein assignment. And I made 3 short films over the course of around 2 weeks. And it was the process of writing, editing, and presenting these films to my classmates and teachers and seeing their reactions that kind of solidified the idea of, this is what I want to do with my life. This is what I want to do with my career. I want to make stories and put them on a screen to show people and have an impact on them.
And what kind of stories are you trying to tell?
I like to focus on comedy stories, but I also do try to focus on double meanings. I have noticed a lot of my writing tends to be more along lightening the horror aspects, because I can't watch horror. I'm a scaredy cat. I can't do it. Even though I know everything's fake, it's just...
Right.
So even like with this film, I took a scary thing such as the Grim Reaper and I made it funny. And I always want to try and, have audiences walk away with some feeling of change.
Right. And looking back on the film, when you were producing it, what were some of the challenges creating it?
I was quite the victim of Murphy's Law. Anything that could go wrong went wrong. And it really strengthened my problem-solving abilities. And a lot of it was a learning experience. And it was learning, making a film, not everything's going to turn out the way you want it to. And it's important to know that that's okay. And you can't get hung up on roadblocks, because if you stop there, you're going to miss everything good that you have about your film or what you're making.
What were some of the roadblocks, by the way?
I had my lead actress drop out suddenly, and I couldn't find a replacement, so I had to star in it, but that meant I was out as cinematographer. But luckily, my coworker at the time ran his own cinematography business, and he had a bunch of his equipment that he was very gracious to let us use, and he filmed it. And I will forever be thankful to him, because I don't think I would have had nearly as beautiful a film as I do without him. And when it got to the final post-production process, I had a bit of imposter syndrome, and it kind of made me severely doubt the film, everything I had done, everything I'd made. And that was also a bit of a learning experience, because when I got the notice that I had won second place, it made me really rethink the film and how I approached it. And I showed it to a roommate of mine at the time, because I had kept it a secret from everyone. And she said, this is an amazing film. What are you talking about? And that really inspired me in that moment of, you can be your own worst enemy and your own worst critic, but it's important to get outside of that box, get outside opinions, because I feel like every creative can relate to this. Within your own work, you're going to notice all the flaws, and all of the good things are going to be overshadowed by those flaws. And it's very important to get outside opinions, whether just from community or friends, and not get stuck in that mindset.
So this was 2022, when you submitted this. What have you learned since then, since producing this film in school? And if you've produced anything else from that time, what have you learned as a filmmaker?
It definitely takes a village to make a film. You can't do it all on your own, no matter how much you try. I have produced one smaller thing while I was attending VFS. And it was also kind of a similar message. And that was on a much larger scale. Like, we had professional equipment, professional cameras, and seeing all of that in action, seeing a set that was run by me was, I don't know if it was like a feeling of power, but it was this feeling of, I'm in control of something. People are relying on me. They're looking to me for direction, and I need to be that leader. I need to be capable. I need to have answers. And if something, like, we're on such a short schedule, like, if something goes wrong, you just gotta do with it, make the best of it, take maybe one more take of it, live with it, and just gotta keep rolling, keep the ball moving.
How has filmmaking changed you as a person on a personal level?
I feel like it's made me simultaneously mellow out and a bit more high strung.
Yeah.
Because you deal with all types working on films, and you're not going to work with people that you like all the time, and they're going to get on your nerves. And it's all about recognizing that in the moment you need to be professional, and realizing that it's really a team effort, and you are part of a team. So you have to put personal feelings aside sometimes. And it's also, if you go into it with too tight of a string, you're just going to destroy yourself. You're going to be out of energy halfway through the day. You're just going to be running on fumes. And it's important to keep that tension, but also keep a relaxed attitude.
Right. And so in filmmaking, what do you think is the most important aspect in creating a good story?
I definitely feel, I might be a bit biased because I like the post-production aspect of film the most. But it really comes down to, I feel like it's strong if the director has a mind of what they want in the edit. Because I've worked as an editor for a couple films, and piecing together a story that the director or writer has clearly not thought of out cohesively can really kill your story. And it's all about communication, getting outside feedback, and building off of that feedback, and being able to take constructive criticism, even if like you have an idea that you think is the best idea ever, but everyone you pitch it to is like, maybe not.
Sure.
It might be a good idea to reconsider.
Right. Perfect. And wanted to go back and speak about the contest again. I understand it was mostly just in the Waterloo region. And so film contests like that, local ones and local film festivals, why are those so important to a community?
I believe they're very important to communities because the indie film scene is a very tough scene. Mm-hmm. And in places like Vancouver, they're a bit more prominent because there's so many film opportunities in Vancouver, whether it be from the industry level or from the indie level. And with a smaller place like Waterloo, having that community and having this ability to show these films and show that like anyone can make a movie is really important to young aspiring filmmakers. And having this community get built up provides a ground of support and provides a learning ground for people who want to get into the film industry, no matter their level, whether they're just starting out or whether they have a bit of experience. It's being able to share that knowledge and share that experience with others that truly allows the film community to grow. Mm-hmm. And within a place like Waterloo, it's a bit more of a close-knit community because of how small it is. Mm-hmm. And it provides that closeness is quite its strength.
Okay. And if you had, like, let's say, if you had a blank check, what project would you produce that would put Waterloo region on the map?
I don't think I understand the question. Sorry.
If you had like a blank check, just like all the funds in the world, what kind of project would you produce as a filmmaker that would put Waterloo region on the map?
I feel like something that would try and show the city's charm. Mm-hmm. Because Waterloo has such beautiful architecture, a beautiful thriving community, so many beautiful landscapes. Like this scene actually in my film, this was just a local park nearby, but it's so picturesque and so beautiful. And in the summertime, it's filled with kids and everything. And it makes Waterloo stand out. There's so many beautiful locations for people to go and see and just have a time in nature.
Having grown up here, I can't agree more. Yeah. I know you're still in film school, but when you get out and you start working in the industry, what are some of the things that you want to accomplish before you retire?
I want to try and work on as many projects as possible, whether it be through the post-production process, a screenwriter process, or hopefully directing a few features. Mm-hmm. But just being able to see my name in the credits of a film that other people have seen is a good moniker of success in my book.
Perfect. And final question, Amanda. What advice would you give to other local filmmakers that are just trying to get started?
Definitely look for outside feedback, because you will get stuck in a little rut or a box and you won't know where to go. And having friends and family members that can provide you feedback is very important, especially like honest feedback, like no holds barred, just truthfully. Films can't be made alone. You need community, no matter how much fancy equipment you have or how well thought out you think you have it. You need help. And it's important to trust yourself, trust your vision. You're not going to get everything accomplished that you want to in your first go around of it. There will be things that you didn't get right, that you missed, that got messed up so you can't use in the final version. And that's okay. That's something that I had to learn myself. Like, it's okay, and it's not going to ruin your film. And it's just it's a learning experience for next time.
Well, Amanda, this has been very educational. I want to thank you again for coming on our show.
Thank you for having me.
And for CCDTV, I'm Bruce De La Cruz.
Oh no! No, 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 no. Not again. Not today.
My name is Naomi Reeves, 20-year-old university student trying to make ends meet while keeping up with school. I like to live a simple life. But sometimes, life gives you one of the most unexpected twists. Yep, my roommate is the Grim Reaper. I call him Grimmy for short. Some may say that having the literal harbinger of death living under your roof may be an unwise decision, but when you have rent to pay, you take whatever offer you can get. Though, he has a bad habit of following me everywhere. He says about my job, the convenience store, even the hospital. I'm sick. Doctor says there's nothing they can do. I can only enjoy what little time I have left. Kind of ridiculous, isn't it? Enjoy what little life I have left when my life has barely begun. Why was I born with a dying body? Why was I given life only for it to be taken away from me when I just started living?
Is this what you wanted? They said I can't be cured. So now my soul is yours to reap for whatever you do when people die. Why me? Why me? What did I do to deserve this broken, dying body? Why not someone else? You can choose someone else, right? No. This is right. Just because I'm broken doesn't mean someone else should be. It sucks, but it's the life I've been given. And I can either choose to lie down and give up, or make the most of it.
Everything dies eventually. And some things die sooner than they should. But that doesn't mean that their life is more sad or more pitiable. I'll live my life how I want to, right to the very end.